going to dealing with introduction, where we're gonna discuss about what exactly is this polity and what is the difference between polity and constitution. Have you ever wondered why polity and constitution have, like, they're going to be described it as two different things? And when it comes to the next thing, which is constitutional framework, which is very very important for your examination, like we're going to discuss so many things in our constitutional framework: historical background, fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles, preamble, fundamental rights, directive principles, fundamental duties. We're going to discuss a lot more things in our constitutional framework, which is very very important, and you're going to get minimum 2 to 3 questions every year from this, from this topics. And now, when it comes to the next topic, which is government, where we're going to have what exactly is this government, like central government, state government, and we're going to discuss about local self government as well. And what comes under central government, what comes under state government, what comes under local self government. We're going to discuss each and everything in each in these divisions, where what we're going to have in center, like president, vice president, prime minister, council of ministers, everything. And when it comes to the states, we're going to have governor, chief minister, council of ministers, and we're going to have everything comes under center and state. And then we have center and state relationships. So we're going to have interstate relationships as well. We're going to discuss about interstate relationships as well in this topic. And then constitutional and non-constitutional bodies, where, as you all know, that UPSC is a constitutional body. It's a constitutional body. So we're going to discuss what are constitutional bodies, non-constitutional bodies, what comes under constitutional bodies, their powers, what are their roles in our society, and everything. And later on we're going to have other topics, which is like a representation of people's act. We're going to have electoral forms and etc. And now let's get start with our very first introduction of polity. So what we're going to discuss in our introduction is like what exactly is this constitution and polity. As we all know, there is like they define constitution and polity in two different things. So polity is the constitution, which the constitution is functioning. It's like the actual functioning of constitution is called polity. The actual functioning of constitution is called, I'm sorry about the handwriting, is called polity. And then what is the constitution then? Well, what exactly is this constitution that we are all talking about? Polity is nothing but you get to know what exactly is the constitution. So what is this constitution then? Well, constitution is a formal legal document with basic structure of the system, and it's going to have set of rules and regulations of what we have to do and we should not do in our democratic society. And then framework of the constitution. What exactly is this framework of constitution? Our constitution is the lengthiest constitution in the world, and it has very unique features that we should proud of. This constitution has many things which inbuilt from different democracies or different countries, which we have so much to say. In this framework of constitution, we're going to be dealing with historical background, where we're going to have regulating acts, council of acts, which comes under historical background, and then we're going to have a preamble. We're going to discuss about fundamental rights, the basic rights every citizen gets under constitutional rights, fundamental rights, as well as fundamental duties, where we're going to discuss about the duties of every citizen with along with states and everything. And we're going to have directive principles, and then in this we're going to discuss a small topic which is citizenship. We're going to discuss about union and territories, etc. So the framework of our constitution has been done with n number of people, as they say, with n. It's been so much effort done by drafting committees, B.R. Ambedkar, and everything, which we're going to discuss in our upcoming classes. It's just an introduction, so that's why I'm just giving you a brief idea of what we're going to discuss in the framework of constitution. And then we're going to have, what is the purpose of constitution? Well, have you ever thought what is exactly the purpose of this constitution? So why we need this constitution, or why exactly we need this constitution? Well, if you want to say in a very short note, so what is the purpose of constitution? It is nothing but it's going to tell you what we can do and we cannot do in our society. It's going to be like, it's going to provide us the set of rules, regulations, and everything that we have to follow being in a democratic society. And it's going to be handled by our governments, that's why we called, our government is actually called like for the people, of the people, and by the people, because our constitution is actually made people the supreme law for the governments. So that's why our government is a democratic. I'm sorry. That's why our government is actually elected by the representation of people. It is the representation of people, and we, the people, who are going to elect our government. So this government has to do what our constitution gives us, the rules or the regulations which were provided by the constitution to the government. And why exactly we need, so we know the purpose of constitution, which is like, why, what is the purpose, why this constitution is made. And have you ever wondered why? Okay, the purpose is fine, but have you ever wondered why exactly we need this constitution? Well, we need this constitution to give us the basic rights and the basic rules and principles to all the people in our country, which will be easy to govern by the government under this constitution rules. So the constitution also spells out the ideals the citizens believe that their country should uphold. That's why we need a constitution, to uphold the ideologies of the citizens, or of the society. So that's why we need the constitution. And the next topic we're going to have is government. So what exactly we're going to discuss in the government is like the government is actually divided into center or union and the state. As we all know, each each division is divided into three other forms, which is executive, legislature, and judiciary. And it is same for the state, which is executive, legislature, and judiciary. So we're gonna discuss all these things government in our upcoming government classes. We're going to be dealing over there. I'm not gonna tell you what we're gonna, it's just a brief introduction, so that's why I'm not going into the detail. And now we're going to have the structure of local self government as well, where we're going to dealing with the local self government, which we have panchayat raj and municipalities, and this is scheduled areas and scheduled tribes development, which comes under local self government as well. So this we're gonna discuss in our government topic. Well, okay, we're gonna discuss these topics in government, but why we exactly need a government? Have you ever thought of this? Why exactly we need this government? What we're going to see what is a government, but why we need this government? So for that, the purpose of a government we have to know. Well, the purpose of government is actually found in our preamble itself. We're gonna find what exactly the government is. So the government is the thing which needs to establish justice, domestic tranquility, and it needs to give the defense for their citizens, and it needs to promote welfare. And you can add liberty as well. So to fulfill all these things, we need government. Well, government, as I said earlier, is the representation of people or citizens. So for us, we need all this to be fulfilled by one thing, which is like government is going to fulfill all these things like establishing justice, demo- domestic tranquility, defense for the citizens, like providing security and everything, and it needs to promote welfare as well for the next development. So that's how the government is going to work. So this is the thing that actually what government does. And then when it comes to the center and state relationships, well, what exactly are these center and state relationships? You must have heard that center issued this much of this much of crores of fund to this particular state for its development or for the disaster management and everything. These kind of relationships, not only the funds, the budget allocations, everything. So we're gonna see each and every relationship between center and state in our center and state relationship classes. So we're going to deal with center and state relations. We're going to have certain committees, authorities, and problematic areas, issues between center and state. So when we have an issue in our state, the center and state, they're going to discuss and they're going to resolve the issue. And we have interstate relationships like state to state. Like it's going to be, if I want to give an example, which is like the very hot issue which is between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, where they're having an issue with you know, Kaveri water, which is still going on. So, like this, these are the interstate relationships, and we have so many examples, and we're going to discuss them in our upcoming classes as well. And now, the next thing which we are going to discuss, which is like constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. So, constitutional and non-constitutional bodies, where we're going to have so many bodies, and in which we're going to discuss about their special provisions, bodies which which established with the help of special groups, like special bodies which are like National Human Rights Commission, National Commission for Women. And we're going to discuss the governance, like what is the purpose of this purpose of this constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. Like you must have heard about the Central Vigilance Commission. So what exactly the Central Vigilance Commission is going to do, like this role, powers, everything we're going to discuss in our constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. Then the last one, which is like as I mentioned, Representation of People's Act. And we're going to have Election Commission of India. Why I kept Election Commission of India? Because there are so many reforms happening in Election Commission of India, so that's why I've mentioned it over here. Why I haven't, it's not like I'm not going to mention it in constitutional or non-constitutional bodies, but we're going to discuss again in a very precise, in a very detailed form in our, sixth part. And we have, it's something like fair and free and fair elections, electoral reforms, salient features of RPA Act. So electoral reforms, we're going to discuss some other things which comes under like languages, cooperative societies, etc. So we're going to discuss all those things in our sixth part. So now let's get start our very first part, which is introduction. So welcome to the introduction part. Now, what is polity? As I mentioned earlier, polity, it is the form of government. So we have so many forms of government, which is like parliamentary form, democratic form, and federal form. So parliamentary form, if I can give you an example, which is US, and even the federal form is also US, and the democratic form, which we can say India is a democratic country, as we all say that. And other forms, there are even other forms as well, monarchical form of governments, which is actually present in Saudi Arabia and Union Arab Emirates countries. Now, the parliamentary form, or the presidential form, where it is seen in United States of America, where the president is going to be their supreme, or the highest authority, where their president is going to be the highest authority. And when it comes to the federal form, which is actually exactly like our democratic form, in our democratic form in India, we have again three divisions, which is like legislative, executive, and judiciary. And exactly in the federal form, it is also exactly the same, which is legislative, executive, and judiciary forms. So have you noticed the note over here, which is the polity should tell you what form of government it is. So the polity is going to describe which form of government we represent or we are having. So ours is a democratic form. So that is what we're going to discuss in our polity classes, which comes under constitution as well. And then, so as you all can see, why exactly we need this so-called polity or constitution, why this government, the rules and everything. So at the end of the day, we have everything to keep us intact. Like, we all are Indians and we all need the rules and we all need the privileges being as an Indian. So that's we're gonna keep us intact, and we're going to have rules and regulations to follow. Well, if you don't follow rules and regulations, then how come you see the development or the welfare? And we're gonna resolve the disputes. Like, all these three things are interlinked. It's going to keep us intact, and even if we get any issues, we're gonna dispute them. Disputed things which happens between states and everything, we're going to resolve them, and we're going to have set of rules and regulations to follow. So all these things comes under polity. Like, exactly, these were actually defined in our constitution, which we're going to study. And now when it comes to the constitution, so the constitution, so now we're finally in our constitution topic. So the Constitution. So what exactly is the Constitution? According to the NCRT book, it defines fundamental or basic law of land. So it's not about the NCRT book defined. Don't just don't think that okay, this is the NCRT definition. It's not like that. It's, even though if it's not the NCRT, the basic definition of the Constitution is the fundamental or basic law of the land. So even in a very precise manner, the basic law of our India, the law which we follow in our country. So, in that, we are going to have source of government, structure of government, core functions. So, source of government. So, what exactly is the source that government is following? So, that we're going to discuss in our. If you could recall, the framework of our constitution, there we have historical background. So our government is gonna run on multiple things, like multiple sources. Like, our constitution is the lengthiest constitution which is defined by the whole world. We have the lengthiest constitution with so many articles and so many schedules, which we're gonna discuss. And we have took each and every, see, fundamental rights we took from one country, and fundamental duties, directive principles, this president and council of ministers concept, we took it from one country. So we took each and every topic from well defined countries. So that's how we we made our constitution such a lengthiest one. Even though we have this it's bits and parts of all countries constitutions, well, it's okay, but we have act like government of Indian Act 1935. So where we're going to have all the sources which we're going to discuss in our framework of constitution. And the structure of government, as we all know, what is the structure of government, as I mentioned in our earlier government slide, where we have this center, state, everything, center, state, local self government. So in that, what comes under center, what are the powers under center, what are the powers under state, who comes under state government, and who comes under central government, which is like president, prime minister, everything is going to defined over there. And when we come to the core functions of the constitution, enacting laws, which is function to the legislature. As we all know, the source of the government, the structure of government, where the government is going to be central and state, and which has been defined into the legislature, executive, and judiciary. In these three parts, these are the major functions which the constitution is going to run, or the government is going to run. So enacting laws is the thing which is going to be done by the legislature. Enforcing laws, which is going to be the function of executive. And education of laws, which is the responsibility of judiciary. As we all know, Supreme Court is the final supreme for defining any law. So what exactly is the Supreme Court, what are the powers enacted with Supreme Court, and everything we're going to discuss. And enforcing like function to the executive. You know, in executive we going to have all the things like how can we enforce a law, or what are the new laws can we make for the welfare of the people, and enacting the laws, which is going to be the function to the legislature, where we're going to have Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. And comes to the executive, we is like prime minister, council of ministers, and after clearing the examination we comes under executive as well, under public servants. So you're going to be an executive, like you're going to be in the part of executive as public servants after clearing the examination, like and when it comes to the education of laws, which the Supreme Court is going to be dealing with, and in the states, which is like high courts. So educate this thing, the responsibility of judiciary is going to limit the powers of government. Well, the Supreme Court decision is going to be final when it's going to be any laws. So that's why Supreme Court is the supreme power in our country. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the relationship between three organs like executive, legislature, and judiciary, the powers and the separation among them, like we're gonna discuss individually and we're gonna discuss them interlinked as well. So this is all we're going to learn in our constitution. So this is what is the constitution, as we all thought like what exactly is the constitution. These are the things that we're going to discuss, and these are the things we're going to see in our constitution. And then when it comes to the next point, which is the limits the power of government, like if it comes to the case one, which is like example, no violation in human rights. So if government wants to take or enact any law, it has to keep in mind it should not violate human rights. So which has to keep in mind by the government. So according to that it needs to enact laws. So the government power is going to be limited, and which it should not violate human rights. Well, if you can see, fundamental rights ensure certain rights to the citizens which government should not violate. Fundamental rights are the universal rights. If the government wants to enact or wants to take over one of the fundamental rights, it cannot take it, because it not only violates the human right, it violates the fundamental rights as well. So the government is also having limited source or limited powers. Well, it comes to the case 2, no discrimination in workplace, like you can see no discrimination in the workplace as well. So, if you can see here, though the appointment to public office is the work of executive, judiciary tells them not to discriminate on the basis of race, color, sex, language, religion, etc. So, the public office, like the government office, if you're appointed in a government office, to work under executive organ. But the judiciary, as I mentioned, the supreme power, which gonna tell you or which gonna restrict the government, which it should not discriminate the people on these basis. So in that case, government has a limited powers and it should not discriminate people. So this when we all keep on discussing the things in our upcoming classes, then you'll get to know this in a even in a very clear manner. Now it may be a little confusing for the freshers, but it's okay. I'm going to clear each and every doubt in our we're going to have a doubt session, which is today evening. So I'm going to help you even if you have any doubts. But going on with the classes, we're going to get a clear picture of what I'm talking. And The next thing is like the constitution directs the government to work for the welfare of the people, and it also makes the citizens to behave themselves. It's like we, even though we've been as citizens, we have to follow the rules and regulations, the rules and regulations defined by the constitution, and it gonna tell the government which needs to work for the welfare of the people. So the constitution is exactly what, now you have an idea, like it's gonna deal with the government, and it's going to deal with the citizens as well, because government is nothing but the representation of citizens. So the government and the citizens has to follow the rules and regulations in the constitution for the welfare and for the development of our society. As you can see, there is a case over here. I've kept an example, which is like freedom of expression and the right to dignity. These things we're gonna discuss even more even more clearly in our fundamental rights class. Now if it comes to the relation between polity and constitution, so we get to know what exactly is polity and what exactly is constitution. But what is the relationship between these two? Well, polity is the reflection of what is there in the constitution. So the constitution, as we all know, it's the basic structure with rules and regulations. It is the thing which defines what we have to do and what we cannot do. So this is the basic document, and the polity is the thing which is gonna implement in the real time, if I have to say, if I have to keep it in a very short form. So constitution is a basic document, and polity is something which is going to be implement the constitutional things or constitutional values in the real time. So this is the basic and the important relationship between constitution and polity. As you have seen here, to understand polity of India we have to read constitution. So if you don't know what exactly is the constitution, what is the basic document, you don't know how to implement it or how to use it for the welfare or for the development of the citizens. I hope now you got the clear picture. So constitution is a basic document. If you know the basic document, you'll get to know how to implement, use for the welfare and development of the citizens. And this process is called polity, or this set of thing that we're gonna analyze, discuss and do is called the polity. I hope you all got the clear picture about what exactly is the constitution and polity now. So in our upcoming classes, we're going to be dealing with everything which is under constitution. As I mentioned, fundamental rights, preamble, government, constitutional and non-constitutional bodies, everything. So these things are comes under constitution, and we gonna discuss everything in a polity way. I hope you understand, and even if you didn't, you can ask me in the doubt session. And we're gonna issue some handouts about the classes as well, and I'm telling you, please do make notes. Whatever you heard in the class, make a notes, and after reading the specific topic in your NCRT and Lakshmikant, please do make notes or important points, because these things is gonna help you when you're actually going to start your preparation, or when you're actually going to start revision for your exams. These are come very handy. Making notes is a must. Without making a note, you're never gonna remember anything. So that's why I'm telling you, please do make notes. Not only for the subject, I mean, like, not only for this conceptual things, even for current affairs as well. And after reading the newspaper, make a notes of that particular news. You're gonna get a handouts as well of the current affairs daily. But if you can make a notes of the newspaper, what you understand in the newspaper, and for the current affair that we're gonna give you, you will get to know what exactly the topic you're dealing, and you can start analyzing things. You can easily analysis a particular topic. So if you make a note out of it, it's going to be very helpful for your broader sense and to understanding a particular topic in a very broader way. And it's going to be helpful for you in your essay writing as well, and in your GS papers answer writing, which is very important. If you don't make any notes, I'm repeating again and again, like, if you don't make any notes, and if you not reading your newspaper, then there is no chance for you. I'm sorry, but there is no chance for you for writing a single line of answer. If you don't practice answer writing, I'm like, not exactly the answer writing, if you don't start making your own notes, having your own notes is a big boon for you when you start your preparation. So I'm telling you, please do make notes, and never ever neglect newspaper reading, because newspaper reading is a must. I'm telling you, it's a must, not only for the current affairs, it is must for all the three stages in the UPSC civil service examination, like for prelims, mains, and interview. Everything is interlinked, and everything will connect you to the newspaper. So do read Hindu and Indian Express as well, along with the handouts that we're going to issue for current affairs. It maybe seems very hectic, but if you start doing it, it's going to be your routine, which is going to be very easy after certain, after a particular point of time. It's going to be very easy for you, and you've been, on the pace for this preparation, because preparing for civil services is not that easy. We need to deal with so many things. As you can see, the current affairs, you need to go through Hindu, Indian Express, and the current affair handouts, and you need to make notes out of it. That will be again a pile of books after you finishing this 1 year course. It's going to be a pile of books. And if it comes to the static portion, where you have too many subjects, not like too many subjects, like so many subjects, uh, which is like polity, history, and again you're going to deal with world history, geography, which comes under Indian and world geography. You're going to have maps, and where you're going to have economics, you're going to deal with inflation, repo rates, everything. And when it comes to science, you have to know the basic science things, and we're going to have defense systems, where you have to uh, you know keep a note of securities, or the security exercises that happens between different countries like India and Sri Lanka, India and US. These security exercises, defense exercises is going to happen every year. When it comes to the international relationships, we have so many international relationships between n number of countries in the world, like India and US relationships, India and China relationships. We have G20 summits where these are comes under current affairs, but we going to have so many committees like summits, conventions, which the conventions which comes under environment and ecology, about this climate change and everything. So these so many things, it seems so hectic. Oh my god, this is going to be a very huge portions of each and every subject. But if you planned it accordingly, so that's why I've just done the introduction part of polity. It's just a brief introduction, like what constitution is have, like what exactly the basic structure of constitution, what we're gonna deal with the constitution, like government, fundamental rights, frameworks, and constitutional and non-constitutional body. These are just the introductions that I gave you today, and we're gonna discuss each and every topic in a very precise manner in our upcoming classes. So don't get worried about it's going to be a huge subject. No, never think of it as you must have heard that polity is a very difficult subject from a number of people, and you must have heard an other portion of people who says that polity is a very easy subject if you get to know the conceptual idea. So I'm going to help you. So don't worry about it's not at all a tough subject. It is a very easy subject if you get to know the conceptual idea. If you get to know the differentiate between fundamental rights and constitutional rights, the small things, polity is nothing but analyzing small things. So that's how you're going to deal with your polity. Don't get nervous, we just started. We have a very long duration, I mean, like a very long course ahead. So don't worry about that. We're gonna discuss everything in a very clear cut manner, and I'm gonna clear all your doubts in our doubt clarification session. Feel free to ask any doubt, but I'm telling you, ask the doubts which we discussed in the class. Like, ask me the doubts about that class itself. Don't go in the advanced level, because there will be so many other people who really want to discuss which happened in the class itself. So do ask me the doubts about the class, and if you have another doubt, I do clarify them. But we just started, so if we have so many things to discuss, so we're gonna discuss there then and there only. So please do ask me the doubts about the class itself, and the advanced doubts we're gonna discuss later, because that particular topic will comes. So if you have any doubts about the very introduction, I haven't started yet, but I hope you get an a brief or the basic knowledge about what is polity and constitution. I think you can differentiate what exactly is the polity and what exactly is constitution. And from tomorrow onwards, we're gonna go into the exact subject. I hope you all understand this class. If you do have any doubts, please do let me know. And this is all the introduction class about this, and I hope you get an idea about what we're gonna discuss in the future classes and everything. So till then, stay tuned and thank you so much. I'm gonna see you tomorrow with the very first topic of our polity, and we're gonna start our polity classes. So this is just an introduction, and we're going to discuss each and every topic from tomorrow onwards. Thank you so much and have a nice day.